If your shoulder lights up every single time you swing the golf club, it's not just age or tightness, it's actually a pattern. And if you fix the pattern, you can stop having that pain. I'm Dr. Toby, and I'm a physical therapist for golf players, helping them to be able to play their game without pain. Let's jump into why there's shoulder pain when it comes to swinging the golf club. 18% of golf injuries involve the shoulder, and there are 4 particular categories of shoulder injuries that are most common for golf players, and it's very likely that you might be dealing with one of those. One of the first injuries is going to be to the rotator cuff. It's very common. You've probably heard of it before. The second one is going to be shoulder impingement, where there's a pinching sensation that can almost stop you mid-swing or actually feel pinchy after the golf game. This is going to be an important one to address, that I'm going to show you how to not only assess and test, but how to relieve that pain. The next one is an AC joint. That's going to be right at that corner or the tip of your shoulder. And the last one is where we deal with the labrum. That's going to be very much internal. It feels like there's a gripping kind of pain on the inside that feels really sort of, it's difficult to really get to because it's not on the surface level. It's not a muscle in and of itself. It's something that feels deeper. So let's jump into what things cause this to happen when it comes to the shoulder. So one of the things we have to appreciate is what we call the lead arm versus the trailing arm, and this is going to be important. So most people, if you have pain while you're swinging or after, either of these are going to apply. Now with our lead arm that's swinging, that's going to be the arm that is actually doing a lot of the force, and it's going to cause some impingement syndrome, AC joint sprains or pain, and even some kind of impingements that lead to us having some nerve symptoms going down our arm or other kind of things. Now, the trailing arm, when we're swinging our golf club, is often going to be subject to rotator cuff injuries because of the high amounts of force and stress that are placed on the rotator cuff. So the 2 main reasons why these are going to be the array of shoulder injuries is simply because there's going to be a lot of force on our shoulder when we're rotating and hitting that golf club. And one of the things that we might have to appreciate is that we may not be strengthening those muscles, particularly on a regular basis with our workouts, if you do work out as a golf player as a part of your golf game. One of the tests you want to do is a cross body test. So when you cross that arm across your body and you feel some pain that feels similar or reproduces the symptoms that you had before, that's an indication that you may have an AC joint, either sprain, injury, or maybe even a labrum issue or some kind of impingement. So we want to do this test on both sides. We're going to hold this position 10 to 30 seconds. And if you have immediate pain, that's just letting you already know that there's an issue there. Now, most people might feel like, well, I don't have pain unless I'm finished playing 18 holes of golf. This is a test to do after to understand if there is something in one of those areas, whether impingement syndrome, whether it's AC joint, or whether it is the labrum. We can do this on both sides, and holding that and seeing if there's a reproduction of pain or if it feels similar to what you usually feel, that's going to be an important indication to let you know what exactly you're dealing with. Now, if we have a rotator cuff issue, some things that we can do is having our arms by our side, opening those arms up. If that causes pain, that is an indication that it may be the rotator cuff that is involved. Another way that we can do this exercise is we pull our arms all the way back while keeping our elbows nice and tight. We want to see if that recreates our pain. If it does or causes some discomfort, that's an indication we might be dealing with a rotator cuff issue. And sometimes we can be dealing with a combination. So one of the things we also can do to test the rotator cuff is by lying on our side and we're here, we're going to just raise that arm up and see if we have any pain or discomfort. Now, obviously we need to test both sides to make sure that we're addressing whichever shoulder is problematic. And again, based on if it's our lead shoulder or the shoulder that trails when we're swinging, depending on how we're swinging our golf club, that's going to determine what's more likely impacted. Again, the lead shoulder is going to have issues with AC joint, impingement, or even labral issues. And then oftentimes the trailing side, because there's a lot of forces going through that external rotation, is going to have issues with the rotator cuff. This first one is an open book exercise. So you probably have maybe seen this before, or maybe you haven't. We want to open up that AC joint, open up the spine in our thoracic spine to cause us to have more freedom and mobility And what we're gonna do is lying on our side, we're gonna rotate that arm all the way back and open up. So we wanna really spread out our body, and we're just gonna simply be here in this position, and we're gonna open up that chest, turning our head with our hand. So we're following our hand with our head, and we're gonna hold that position for about 10 seconds. We're gonna do that just like this. Now, if you want something super easy, you don't need to remember the reps and sets, just hold it for a minute. That can be very helpful to open up that shoulder. And of course, we wanna do it on both sides. So I would recommend starting off, especially if this causes pain or discomfort, then hold it for a few lesser seconds. So maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds. But if you feel okay with this, you can do it for a minute and hold that, especially if you're short on time. That will be helpful for you. And that's gonna open up that AC joint. The other thing that we need to be able to do, or the other way that we can do this exercise, is we can do it in a half kneeling position. So what we wanna do is we get into a half kneeling position against the wall, and we're gonna rotate just like so. We can put our body against the wall, hold that position, and come back. And this is gonna help us to open up that thoracic spine, opening up our shoulder joint as well. And this is how we do that open book or thoracic rotation in a half kneeling position. Maybe you're in a place where you can't lie on the ground. Maybe you're on the golf course and maybe you just need to get through 2 more holes of golf and you're feeling that shoulder pain. This can be helpful to do to help to relieve that shoulder and to open up the shoulder joint, especially if you know what is the cause of the shoulder pain, whether it's AC joint, labrum, or some kind of impingement or pinching in the shoulder. So that's going to be a helpful one. The last exercise I want to show you is going to be more so for our rotator cuff. So for our rotator cuff exercise, we're going to use a resistance band and do what's called wall slides. What we're going to do is we're going to have our body, our arms in a nice little square box. So if you think about a little box, we're going to have our arms in a position 90 degrees in our elbows and at our shoulders. And we're going to reach those arms up, keeping tension on that band, up and down. Now you can do this just like this, or you can do it in front of a wall, sliding up and down. This is going to be a very helpful one, but also challenging as you keep that band nice and tight, up and down. And we're going to work that rotator cuff in a fashion that's going to be functional, because as we swing that golf club, we need to have a lot of external rotation support to protect our shoulder joint and to prevent a tear to our rotator cuff or any kind of limitations in our shoulder because our rotator cuff is weak. So one of the things you want to keep in mind is that a red flag is if you can't lift your arm at all, having difficulty raising your arm up, or nighttime pain. Those are going to be indications that you want to get a full assessment, and you can talk to a PT first by hitting the link in our description, which simply will give you the opportunity to uncover what exactly is going on in terms of the reason of your pain, the solution for that pain, and how to have a plan that's going to ultimately eliminate it for good. You can hit the link in our description for a free consultation. Now, one of the things you want to be able to appreciate is that if these exercises and tests felt like they really got to the areas that limited you, you can check out this other video I did on a 7-minute routine to help you unload the shoulder and improve your swing without any pain or discomfort. So check that video out. If you found this video helpful, like it and leave a comment, and subscribe to the page, because we help you by making videos to stay healthy, pain-free, fit, and mobile. It's time to discover the wealth that starts with your health. It's Dr. Toby. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and see you soon. Thanks for subscribing.